Hey mama, are you ready to build your identity as a woman, a wife, and a mom? Welcome to Married Moms Take Control. Today we're diving into how to take control of your identity and the roles you play by understanding more about who you actually are. I'm Nevart Willborn. I'm here to guide you through a framework that can help you meet your full potential in your roles as a wife, a mother, and an individual. By the end of this episode, you'll have a better understanding about how the different parts of your identity converge into who you are today as a married mom. This is something that I've cultivated in myself for years. I'll probably always be working on this because essentially this is a form of identity development. You think back to your life up until this point and all the changes that you've gone through, whether it's personal development or you've had a kid, maybe a second kid, you've been married, maybe you've had more than one marriage, maybe you've lost a loved one, a parent, maybe you've, started a new career. With every stage of your life, the role that you play as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, all of these have changed. All these roles that we've played have changed over the years. And then add to that, if you're a daughter, a sister, a business owner, an employer, an employee, a friend, you have all these other roles that you play in life as well. And these roles all evolve and change over the years. We are not the same people we were when we were, teenagers or in our early 20s as we are now in this stage of life. And that's normal, right? So it would make sense that the woman at the core of who you are has also grown and changed. So the idea of kind of my perspective on this, and I explained it to you in the first couple sessions, is that there's this whole this one person, your identity as a woman, and within it there are these other parts of who you are as a woman, who you are as a wife, who you are as a mom. But it is ultimately this whole unit. So if you think of it like kind of understanding the parts of a whole. So if you're looking at a machine, right? If you have a machine and it's not working properly, then the first thing you have to do is you have to diagnose the problem. Like, what is it in this machine that isn't working? Because you can say, oh, well, my fan stopped working. Okay, well, what is it? The battery? Is one of the blades bent? Is there something wrong with the wiring? Did it just go out because you've been using it for so long? You have to get in there, take the thing apart, look at all the parts of it to really determine what is the problem. Because I can't fix the fan, pressing it on and off and on and off over and over isn't going to fix it. There is a deeper issue. So it's the same thing with your life, right? If something is wrong with you, if you don't feel well, if emotionally you're not okay, if you're overwhelmed, if you're emotional, you're unhappy, you're not pleased with your relationships, you're unfulfilled, anything that's wrong, anything that you don't feel well about, you are going to have to figure out why. Right? If one aspect of your life is not going well, if your job is miserable and you're unhappy, then it's impossible to leave that misery in that one category of your life. You will bring it home. You will feel it in your ability to interact with your family. You will feel burned out, exhausted, and that will spill over to how you are with the other people in your life or in the other roles that you play. If you have a fight with your husband and then you try to go to bed right afterwards, well, you're probably not going to sleep super well. And then that's going to roll over to the next day where maybe you're tired, you're irritable. And now the way you interact with your kids is a little short. Maybe you're just not very patient. Then you're going to go to work and you're going to have a hard day because you're exhausted. Everything comes together because we can't compartmentalize ourselves that way, right? And I've talked to you in a previous episode about how I do look at this, and I encourage you to look at yourself as different parts of the same person, but ultimately we are looking at the whole person all the time. We can take it apart to look at it and investigate it and see what's wrong, but we are always conceptualizing this whole self whenever we're talking about fixing a problem or just growing in a positive direction, anything we're doing. So I hope that helps you kind of deepen your understanding of you have to be self-aware enough to know that if you are not happy or if something is not working in one aspect of your life, it absolutely will impact other aspects of your life. And a lot of the times, I mean, people who come to see me, they might come in with, well, I don't feel good about this thing. And as we start to dig and talk, we realize that this thing that they don't feel good about actually is triggered by this other thing that may look completely unrelated. But because their defenses or they're vulnerable in that place and their defenses are down, then it trickled down to where now this thing over here, they don't have the full strength or confidence or stability to deal with. And so they're struggling here. Or even think about it on a much simpler level. If you're hormonal, then your mood is affected, right? Part of you is affecting the other parts of you. You might be like, I don't understand why I'm so irritated today. Everything is bothering me. And then when you break it down, you think, well, I'm about to start my period. Well, okay, that makes sense. Okay. It might not explain everything, but it might explain some stuff. So every part of us affects the other part, just the way that it works. So we've talked about looking at the whole, breaking it down to the parts. But what we're talking about today isn't about focusing on the diagnosis of the problem of why we might be unhappy and why we might feel unfulfilled. We're going to have a different outlook today. We're going to look at a pretty perspective. So, and this is going to sound so cheesy, but I think it explains what I'm trying to say pretty well. So I want you to look at your life as a garden. Okay. So let's break it down. So from a distance, if you just imagine, picture any garden that you've been to, not the one at the front of your house, but maybe think of something more botanical gardens, maybe a beautiful area you've driven by. If you have a really nice front yard, you can think of that. Some of you are amazing with that. I tend to kill all the plants I try to nurture, but I think of some of the beautiful botanical gardens that I've been to. And that's kind of the image that I have in my mind for this. So think of it from, when you're looking at this garden, if you're standing back and you're just admiring this whole garden, then you're going to see probably some really pretty things, lots of different colors, lots of different kinds of plants and flowers. It's lush, it's vibrant, really full of life, just beautiful, and it really kind of just makes you feel like, wow, man, there's really beautiful colors in nature in this world. And, everything is so nice. So now I want you to let me paint a picture for you and see if you can go with me on this. So again, I break things down into the three parts: woman, mom, wife. As a woman, you are the soil, the foundation. So think of those beautiful flowers, beautiful plants. At the foundation of that garden is soil. And the soil has to be rich. It's not just dirt that you throw down. To plant a good garden, you have to put the base of really nutrient-rich soil. And it needs to be well tended. And there is a reason that when you go to Home Depot, there are lots of different kinds of soils, because you have to find the one that is best for what you are planting. So as the woman, that is the foundation. The woman is the foundation of your identity, right? So you are just like that soil. You are requiring self-care, personal growth, and you have to have the time to really replenish your resources. Okay? So that's the woman. The woman in you is the soil of this garden. As a mom, you are the nurturing sun. So you provide warmth and light to your children. You help them grow. You really make sure that they have everything they need to be successful. And this part of your garden needs daily attention, right? You need patience. You have to have love to make sure that your children thrive. So you have to give a lot of yourself, but you have to give the right parts of yourself. You have to provide what your children need in order to be happy, to be healthy, to be successful. So as the mom, you are the nurturing son. So as the wife, You're the water. You're essential for growth. And that really kind of symbolizes the hydration and the life that you bring to your marriage. So without the water, the plants cannot live. They would die without it. So this role that you play as the water in your garden, in your marriage, it involves ensuring that your relationship is watered with affection, with communication, and with mutual support. Okay. I told you it was cheesy, but doesn't it make sense? Right? Think of it like all of these different layers: the soil, the sun, the water. Your garden requires, any beautiful garden will not thrive without soil, sun, and water. You don't stop giving the plants sun. I mean, you don't give it, the sun does, but you need to have your plants in view of light, and you have to water your plants. If you stop watering your plants, they will die. I am really good at killing plants, so I know what I'm talking about. But if you stop any of those things, if you don't have the right soil, if something comes in and kicks all the soil out of your flower beds and you do not replace it, you don't give it a good amount of nutrient rich soil, then the flowers will eventually die. They may not die right away, but eventually they will die. So if you are taking care of this garden, you are going there, you're checking, is everything good? Have the plants been getting what they need? Have the flowers been getting what they need? And if for some reason they're not, you are going to fix that. You're going to correct that. So each part of this garden needs individual attention. And sometimes you might find that one area, like the, certain parts of your garden, certain flowers or plants that need more watering or more sunlight. Maybe their needs are higher. Not every plant needs the same amount. Some are full sun, some are part sun, some are shade. You're going to have to know what kind of plants you're planting and what kind of care they require. So there has to be an individual plan that you come up with to truly nurture your plant in your life, right? As a mom, are you getting what you need? Are you getting what you need to be able to give to your children? Are you nurturing yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you growing in your own identity so that what you have to give is the right thing? If you want to have a certain relationship with your children, are you doing what it takes to be that person? If you want to yell less, are you working on yourself to learn how to handle interactions with your children to where you're not as impatient, you're not as frustrated, and you can yell less? Are you working on being a better listener and not jumping to conclusions when your children tell you something they did wrong or just reacting negatively? Are you working on that if that matters to you, if that's important? Are you working on that? As a wife, are you taking the time to communicate with your spouse in a way that works for your spouse? Do you work on not assuming intent, but instead asking open-ended questions? Do you work on how to communicate your feelings or managing your emotions? Or do you just yell and scream when you feel upset, right? You have to tend to that part of yourself as a wife to make sure that you are interacting and behaving and being the kind of wife that you want to be. And as a woman, are you doing that for yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you investing in things that make you feel good? Time spent on, exercise or reading things that make you feel good about yourself, or pursuing the school or career that makes you happy. Are you doing those things that bring you feelings of joy if you're nurturing yourself? So again, every part of this mom garden requires individual attention. And the beauty of this garden, it depends, and the health of this garden really depends on how well each aspect of the garden is taken care of. right? If you skip one part, if you give them water and the soil is fine, but they require sun and you don't give them sun, you keep them in a closet, well, they're going to die. If you give them sun, but you don't water them, well, they're going to die. So if you overlook one part of the equation that it takes to keep these plants healthy, it's affecting the whole of the plant, right? So it's all part of a system. And if you neglect one role in your life, it will affect the overall well-being of your life, of your relationships, of your interactions with the people that matter most to you, and of your health, right? If you are nonstop, go, 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 always doing for everyone else, never taking a break, never asking for help, never, taking care of your basic needs, you will burn out and then you will not be able to do anything for your family. Because I think sometimes we tell ourselves, well, I have to take care of all these people and do all these things. Well, yeah, that's fine. But if you don't take a break somewhere there and do the things that you need to do for yourself, you will get to a point where you can't take care of your family. And then was it worth it? Or should you just have worked in a little bit of time here and there for you to really work on your own identity development as well? If years go by and you've played a really good role in mom life and wife life, and you've done everything for everyone else, but you've neglected to pursue a passion of your own, and now you have nothing that brings you joy outside of your wife role and your mom role, then you're going to feel really depleted. Or if you've spent years building a career and really going all in on that and not making enough time for your relationships with your spouse and your children, and now you're feeling completely disconnected from them, well, that's going to make you suffer. It makes everyone suffer. So our goal here is to constantly be pruning our lives, making sure that we are taking inventory and checking regularly if the three main parts of our identity are getting what they need, are being nurtured. And if we can do that on a regular basis, then every part of our life is getting the individual attention. It's not going to be perfect. Some parts of your identity and your life and your roles will get more attention on some days than others, but we need to keep ourselves looking at the whole picture on a regular basis so that we're not neglecting any important part of our lives, because the big picture matters. The garden matters, the family, the relationship, the marriage, the self, all of those things matter. And if they're not all being taken care of, then something will slip through the cracks and it won't be great. Okay. So I hope that analogy worked for you. It helps me to kind of put things into a different perspective, try to look at it from the outside, and then try to relate to it. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And also, if you haven't already heard, I have a Facebook group now that's just for the women that I am speaking to, the married moms. And I hope that you'll join my group, because my goal with it is to create a community where we can come together, we can have a safe place to talk. I'm going to be doing just extra things that maybe I want to be more private about, not so much on my major social media kind of profiles, but more for people who are in this world. And then also it's a place to have support with each other. I have some other things I'm working on for later, and all of that will really be announced more here. It'll be nurtured here in the group. So I hope you'll join my Facebook group. I'll link to it in the show notes. The group is called simply Married Moms Take Control. So you won't have a hard time finding it, but I will be sending out lots of invitations. If you haven't already received one, then hopefully you will get one from me. If not, you should request to join and get all your other mom friends to join as well. All right. Well, thank you for being with me on this episode, and I'll see you next time. Bye.